Okay, so here we have the side itself. So just showing this round here. Now what I've done is I've made this because we wanted to have a stepped front. That's what I've done here. So this piece from here to here is 450 millimeters. From the middle parts here to the front fascia, that is going to be 500. What I've done is I've actually jointed right in here. I've cut a joint that way and a joint this way, so that the two marry up together, but it leaves a ledge, and the reason for that is obviously that's going to be the shelf for where the appliance will sit. We're going to put a nice bit of 9mm ply on top of that. What's left to do now is to cover the side in plywood, as I've got there. This will effectively make it hollow, which is good. You may be questioning, well, why has he got these cutouts here? Well, the answer is when you've got the pieces going across the face, so this is, just to be clear, this is the face of it here. You've got a piece going across there like that, and then you've got a piece coming across like that, so it's in three places. On the back, it's going to sit on a beam going across, and that's the full length of the kitchen. And the same at the top, you've got a fascia piece that's going to go this way, and obviously one at the back. And the reason for that is that when you look at these from the top position, I can then screw down there, drill first. These battens are only 15 millimeters by 30. If you try and screw straight through them, they just split. So drill, countersink like I've done here, as you can see, and that means they're flush, so when the work surface goes on the top, it absolutely fits perfectly. But yeah, so that's the idea of it. The reason for that is because we want to have some flexibility when we put the units in. We know the rough sizes and that, but once we've got these panels built and they're in the rails, which is going to be the rails which are attached to the motorhome itself, then we need to be able to slide them sideways so we get a really good fit, and then we can screw down on those top battens exactly where we need them. That fixes them in place. A couple of screws down on the floor here, which will help fix it, and that's it. It'll be done. I'm going to mark round, and this is a word to the wise. Didn't do this on previous builds, but if you take a sheet of plywood and you've got awkward little noggins to cut out, use a pencil mark whilst it's out of the frame, and that way when you get down to staggered bits like this area here, you can cut all that out at ease, and it just makes it a much better fit. Okay, so I've now done the panels. As you can see, these are all nicely lined, so that separates the cupboards and that from the fridge, etc, etc. And what I've done is I've rested an upper and lower batten on the floor there. Those two are now screwed in, and now what I've got to do is to take the next set of battens, run it along the top there so it's got something to hold on to, and then I have to move this out, because the one thing you can't do here is put the screws in right there underneath this blind, and I don't want to ruin the blind because the wife has very kindly sprayed a lovely grey colour for us. So I'm going to move this out, put the sections in. One word to the wise also, if you're going to do this sort of thing and you're not sure about drilling the holes, and I've said this before, always countersink with a proper countersinking, do them all together. So I laid them out on the floor, clamped them together, as you can see with the clamp there, marked out where I wanted the cabinets to go, not forgetting the 15 millimeters thickness of these partitions, and then drilled them side by side so that I know the front is going to line up with the back. As you can probably see here, that's pretty much what it's doing, and that's freestanding. So yeah, that's going to be quite a nice little unit by the time it's finished. Right, well, I suppose I better crack on. Hi, so having put all the units together, put all the panels and fitted it in, I've used a set square to make sure that these units are actually nice and square. You can see they're now fitted in properly, looking rather good, and all the way down to this end. So you may be wondering why there's an overhang here. So re-measuring, I'll cut that off, make that good, and then I've just got to finish off this end cupboard. But for the moment, this is now ready to receive the fridge, and power cable's all sitting there waiting for it. I've got to put the gas in at some point, but for the moment, because we're going away the day after tomorrow, I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to run it off electricity. So for the moment, that'll be it. Right, well, as you can see, the kitchen unit is now made up. The appliances are in there, although obviously the cooker is going to be raised up, but for the moment I just need the weight on the rear axle, because there's a braking system that is affected by the weight of the vehicle. So fridge is in, that's actually temporarily plugged into an extension lead until we can get to site with a 240 volt kick in. You can see the bedroom area is now all made up. Nice brand new chairs under there to go over. Yeah, we haven't got a covering on the floor, but I don't really care at this point. We've actually got a car picnic mat that we're going to use. You can see the bedroom area is now looking very nice. All of the bits that we needed to do, the curtains and that herself has put up, has looked really well. And if you remember back to the first video, it was quite dire. But today is a very big day for us, because today, as you can tell by the fact I'm not wearing working clothes, I'm wearing my summer clothes, we're actually taking her out for a first trip. Now, some people might say, well, you haven't got a cooker in there, and yes, this is actually an IKEA wardrobe door, which we're using as a nice little work surface until we can get the proper work surface in. But you know what? It does for a sandwich making area. So yeah, we're quite excited. Everything's all loaded up. All the safety netting is up there. We've got all the bedding up the top there, which seems to be quite nice. When I say we've tested the bed, we've actually laid in the bed area here with the mattresses all down, and it turns out it's a 5-foot bed, which if you've ever slept in a motorhome, and we haven't yet, but we will tonight, that's quite a large size bed. Most of the ones we've seen are 4 foot to 4'6". I'm quite a large person, so's the wife, bless her, and so the 5-foot area for us works. We've now finished all of the cupboards with the catches, the magnetic catches. It's just a few little odd touches to do. We've actually got the retainers here to keep the cupboard doors open, as you can see. Good news is the stereo all works, and so we're ready to set sail on our first journey, and hopefully we won't have any overheating problems like we've heard other people have had. And we've changed the name of this motorhome, in case you hadn't realised. When we bought it, we agreed to keep the name Miranda, which was her original name, but we're big Lord of the Rings fans, so we changed it to Mithrandir. So it's a nod to its previous owners, but also the fact that there's been so much work done on this and it's been rearranged that yeah, we thought it was kind of nice to change it to a Lord of the Rings theme. So that's what we're doing, and wish us luck, and hopefully we'll report back after we've come back from the trip. Hi, so we made it back from Orpington, our pilot run. We did have one problem with the trip. The engine overheated, got up to 130 degrees C. Turns out the fans didn't kick in. It has two fans, one's supposed to kick in at 90, the other one's supposed to kick in just above 90, and neither did. It worked alright for about the first 30 miles, and then As I say, they stopped working. Now what's interesting about that is this particular motorhome has a new radiator, a new water pump, a new thermostat and a new sensor on the radiator, so there shouldn't have been a problem. Now what's also interesting is the fact that I found the fault. 30-year-old bullet connectors, and they are basically an electrical connector. I'm not going to bore you with it, although I do have them in front of me, so I'm going to go and grab them quick so you can see what I'm talking about. So these things are called bullet connectors, and you can see there, this one is a little bit worse for wear. It's not too bad, but what the real problem was on the cable that went inside of it. Now you can't see this one because obviously it's inside, but the copper had corroded and was quite green, to be honest. Now I only found it because I was wiggling the wires and suddenly the fan kicked in, which is kind of odd, you know. You wouldn't expect that. So what I did was I cut the wire ends off, and I put an electrical block connector. That started the fan. The engine cooled down. We carried on. When I got to the campsite a couple of days later, I replaced the second set of bullet connectors on the secondary fan, and it made the rest of the journey and all the way back home not an issue. And I really pushed this engine, and I will show you this because I think it's pretty amazing of my wife to have done that. You can probably see there on the base of the unit she decorated them. We did mount the TV on the wall, and I will show you the other side of that just so you can see how it was done. I built into the wall this panel. As you can see, a couple of coach bolts in there. Works quite nice. That's nice and solid. So yeah, that's pretty good. Right, so the next bit, we decided the one thing we really did need, apart from obviously having a fridge to store food, was a toilet. Now, as I've shown you before, and I'll show you again, this is the toilet area. As you can see, there's nothing there at the moment. So what I've decided to do for the next week or so is to build the shower area and the toilet